Hi, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I got my foreign job in response to this particular comment here. If you're new here, a very big welcome to you. My name is Dima and I mostly talk about finance and self-development. If that sounds interesting to you, do well to subscribe to the channel, and if you end up learning from this video or you find it beneficial, do well to give me a thumbs up. So, how I got my foreign job abroad. So I'm going to give you tips and advice that helped me land my six-figure job. Prior to relocating to Berlin, I was living in Nigeria. I was working in Lagos as a software engineer. But the thing was that I got fed up because of where I was living. I was living in a very far place from the office, the company I was working for. So most of the times I was sleeping in the office. So what I do is Monday morning, I'll pack up my clothing and every other thing that would, see me through to the weekend. Friday evening or Saturday morning, I'll get back home because it's usually like 3, 4, 5 hours drive with Lagos traffic and everything. So one particular day, I left the office around 5 p.m. and I got home around 1 a.m. and that was where I said, no, I can't take this anymore. So my first tip for you is to make up your mind that you want, the foreign job, you want to change your job. I think everything starts with mindset. So what I did was I told myself that I am going to find a way to get out of this situation, no matter how difficult it's going to be. So if you're looking to, get a foreign job or switch your job or even switch career in general, I feel like your mindset should be right. Manifestation, say like I'm going to get it, and you also have to work towards getting it. So that's my first point. I had to change my mindset and I started looking. The second thing that I did was to decide which countries I was going to be applying to. And why this is important is that some of these foreign jobs come with relocation. So you would want to, research properly the countries that you want to apply to, just in case they tell you, oh, you have to relocate. You have to make sure that where you're relocating to is a country that you would want to stay, because most times, you might decide to live there. So what I did was my friends and I, we checked out, countries that we would want to go to. So the countries that were top on my list was US, Canada, and Germany. Germany mostly because the senior software engineers for the companies we worked, most of them were relocating to Germany. And so we're like, oh, if we have, senior colleagues there, it will also make sense to, go there, so that once you get there, you already know that you have people there. So I decided that these were the countries that I was going to apply to. So in case relocation comes, I'll be very okay with relocating to that particular country. Now, after deciding which countries that I want to apply to, the next thing was to get my resume right. And this is very, very important because your resume is actually what gets you to the door. It's not what gives you the job, but it's what gets you to the door. So you have to make sure that your resume is proper, like your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, because recruiters are going through a lot of CVs. So if your CV is not properly structured, is not neat, it doesn't have the relevant skills they are looking for, they're going to move past you. So make sure that your resume, maybe after you're done with it, give it to someone else that is also good with proper English to look at it for you. Because most times when you write something, when you say it in your mind, you think you've written it down, what is in your mind, but you're actually wrong. So show it to someone to help you proofread and make sure that it's, there are no typos. And another thing that you also need to consider in your resume is when you're applying, let's say, for example, you're applying for a tech job, please put the relevant skills. Let's say you're going for maybe a front-end engineer or a back-end engineer. There is nothing you doing nothing is doing there, because the role they are looking for is a back-end engineer. So always make sure that the skills or whatever job you've done that are in your resume are relevant. Even if, let's say, for example, you worked in a hospital and is related to tech, make sure that whatever you're putting there has a relation with whatever is in the job description. So most times I always try to check my resume to be sure that it matches what is in the job description, so that when the recruiter picks it and checks, oh, this skill has it, this skill has it, they can, move your CV. Because people don't have time to start going through, your CV to see, oh, does he have it? Let's scroll down. No, people don't have that time. So once they glance and see that the skills, especially the ones at the top, doesn't match what they're looking for, I don't think they would even want to get back to you. So make sure that the most relevant skill, the most relevant job on top, so let's say, for example, your current company, let it be at the top with, the skills they are looking for, and then the older jobs you've done or whatever skill you have, let them be below. So with that, whoever or whatever technology they're using to scan, they will check that the skills you have matches what they are looking for. I know that a lot of people underestimate the power of cover letter, but cover letter is extremely important when you're looking for these jobs. I remember when I was in my first company, one of our senior colleagues was trying to commend someone that one of the reasons they hired the guy, or they actually even looked at his CV to bring him for interview, was the cover letter he wrote. So when you're writing your cover letter, I know that most times people want to make it generic. I have a generic cover letter, but once I'm applying to a particular company, I try to make that generic cover letter, I try to make it personalized to the company. So if you're applying to, let's say, for example, you want to apply to Google and you're writing your cover letter, try and see what Google is doing or whatever their mission or their goal is and how it aligns to you. Because once you do that, if someone picks up your cover letter, the person will be glad that at least you try to make research about the company. I don't know if that makes sense. So please, if you're sending out your resume, always try to attach a cover letter telling them how their goals and your goals align, what you can bring to the table, or how you can make an impact. All these things are very necessary. And if you're looking to find where to get a proper CV done or a proper cover letter, I make use of Canva. So whenever I want to take a look at my CV or change it, I always use Canva. It's free, although they have the paid edition, but I don't see why you should pay, because even the free templates are also very nice. So you can just go on Canva and pick one that you like, and then make sure that it's very neat, structured. Please, anything that is not relevant to that particular job you're looking for, please, I beg you, scrap it off your CV. If your CV is one page and whatever is on that one page makes sense, submit it like that. People, once they look at it and you're a fit for their company, they will definitely get back to you. So now, after preparing my resume and my cover letter, the next thing is to prepare for the interview. So interviews differ for companies. There is no one particular way for interviews, and the one that I have done are technical interviews, so I can't really say for other ones. So most times I've done a lot of interviews, guys. I have done a lot of I've done a lot of interviews because I have applied and applied and applied. So I totally get that. So but the thing is that once you are preparing for the interview, there are some very important things you need to know. So most of the companies that I have interviewed for, they usually have what they call the phone screen or the first call. Most times this phone screen or first call is usually a get to know me kind of situation, where you get to know more about the company and the company gets to know more about you. So one thing I always try to tell people when they ask me for advice when it comes to this kind of interviews is to know that it is not a one-way thing. It's actually a two-way thing. You interview them, they interview you, so that you will be sure that the company you're trying to work for, you will also like the place. I know that you might be in a hurry, or it's like a do or die affair for you, like any company. No, honestly, because you can actually get a company that their culture does not fit your culture, and then you don't like it and you cannot continue with the company. So most times I always tell people, let it be a two-way interview where you get to ask them things that you're scared of, things that you're worried about. What is their culture like? What is a day-to-day like? Do you work 9 to 5, 40 hours or 60 hours a week? All those things are very important. Ask them how unique their company is to them. What makes the company stand out for them? Why have they chosen to stay with this company? Because they are also going to ask you things like this, like, can we get to know you? A lot of people do not prepare for these interviews, but most times people, when you fail out of this particular get to know you interviews, because you're not answering it right. A lot of people don't take it for granted, people don't take it seriously, but it's actually a very serious interview, because most times if you don't pass it, they won't get back to you. So try or go online. You can Google, how to prepare for interviews, like get to know you. Can we know more about you? How I usually go about mine is tell them my name, tell them what I'm currently doing, what I did previously, and what I'm looking forward to doing. And then, some of the things that I do during my free times and all of that. Nothing bulky, nothing too lengthy, just, things that are not on your CV, but also when they look at your CV is relatable. I don't know if that makes sense. And then they can also ask you, if you worked in teams, how you've been able to resolve conflicts and all of that. So you need to really, really be prepared, because you're not the only one gunning for this position. There are thousands of people looking, so you have to make sure that you stand out from the rest of them. Showcase your talent, whatever it is. So let's say, for example, during the interview, if you're someone who does public speaking, or you have an article you've written somewhere, or you have projects, say them, because the more they can see that you can offer, the more they want to keep you. I don't know if that makes sense. So let's say, for example, you're someone who is going for UI UX interview, right? And they've asked you questions and all of that. Even if, when you're talking about yourself, you can also tell them that there are some projects you've worked for, there are some things you've designed and you would want to show them. Do you get? So you can tell them, oh, please, can I share my screen? If that is possible. If you can't, you can tell them, okay, this is a link. You send the link to them and tell them to go through it. So the more they can see that you can bring to the table, apart from the regular things that is expected of you, the more chances you have. I can remember one of my interviews, the one that actually got me here. So one of the reasons, when I finally got in and I met one of my interviewers, my colleague, and he said that it was because I shared a spreadsheet. Not like that was the main reason, but one thing that made me stand out was that I shared, if you watch this channel, there's this plan with me I normally do where I plan out my month, things I want to do. I shared it with him and, how I plan to level up, the technologies I plan to learn. And he was very amazed. And, that was one of the things that made him, fight for me, even though there are other things that made me get the job. But he said that it was one of the things that made me stand out for him. So nothing is too little. Anything that will just elevate you a little bit more than others, please try to showcase it. Nothing is too small. The next point is asking for feedback. So when I finish any interview at all, I usually ask the recruiters or the interviewers, whatever, I usually ask them, oh, please, is there any feedback for me? Do you think there are some things I didn't answer properly? Do you have anything you think I can do better, just in case? And most times they usually give that feedback. Sometimes it's usually, oh, that it was nice talking with you, your communication skill is very great, blah, blah, blah. And they can even tell you, okay, this thing, you're doing it right, keep doing that. So always try to ask for feedback. Always try to ask questions about the company. Always try to ask for feedback once you're done with the interview. Now, after my interviews, for technical ones, I also try to prepare for my technical interviews. Most times it's usually algorithm, and in as much as I hate it so much, I don't like it, but I've come to accept that that's part of the journey as a software engineer. So they usually give technical interviews. Some people might give you take-home assignments. Those are the ones I like, so that you can go home, take your time to, research, get them solved, and then they will then bring you back to probably defend the project. So one advice, if you ask people for help to help you do your technical interviews, I'm saying technical because I'm a software engineer, that's mostly the interviews I've done. So if someone helps you do your technical interview, in as much as you probably might not have done it yourself, please, I beg you, try to understand whatever the person has helped you with. Try, if you don't understand, ask question. Tell the person to explain why this was done, why did we have to do this? And also try to understand the project, because most times once you're done and you come back and they tell you to defend it, they can also tell you to add one tweak or the other. So you have to know this to be able to defend your project. Another thing that I also want to talk about that is very important that I had to learn is rejection. Rejection is part of it. I cannot explain to you, I can't give you an exact number of how many applications I did. Oh my God. If I say 200 might even seem small. So I don't want to scare you or exaggerate it, but I did tons of applications. Myself and my friends, we did a lot of applications. So if you're getting rejections, just know that it's part of the journey, because sometimes it could be your location that is making them reject you. It could be your experience that is making them reject you. It could also be that maybe there were a lot of people and they couldn't go through everything. So when you get a rejection, don't see that it's because you're not good enough. Just see that at that particular point, you're not a right fit for the company. So that's one thing that I had to learn. I remember one particular one that I applied to, did interview, got to the last stage. In my head, I've already gone to, I'm like, oh yes, I've gotten it. And then the next morning, I woke up to a rejection mail. Oh my God, that particular day, I won't lie, I cried. That one got to me because like I was so hopeful. Like I was extremely hopeful that I was going to get it. So after crying, I wiped my tears and then I went. Guys, that day, I'm not exaggerating, I did over 50 applications. Like I was applying. And that day that I did those applications back to back, it was one of the companies amongst those more than 50 companies that I later got the job. So I just want to let you know that it could take months, it could take a very long time, as long as you don't give up, as long as if you need a break. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming, sometimes it can be too much and you would need to take a break. Please do yourself a favor and take that break. Maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. When you come back, because it can be emotionally draining to always get rejection mail, it can be extremely draining. But as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't stop, you're going to get something. Another thing is like, also try to be sure that you're doing the right thing, okay? Make sure that your CV makes sense, because you can also be getting rejection and the issue is from you. Maybe your CV is not proper or your communication skill is not that great. Like, so you also have to, that's why I say keep asking for feedback. Try to know what it is, and then once they give you response to the feedback, try to implement those things and they would really help you. Another thing is, if you're also looking to get a foreign job, it's also very good that you tell people around you, especially if you know people in that particular field. I remember one of the interviews that I did, even though I didn't later get the job, or what made me even have an interview with them was because I already told my friend that I was looking, and when she saw a vacancy about that particular role, she sent it to me and I applied. So word of mouth is also very good. Try to join communities. A lot of these communities, especially if you're in tech, a lot of tech communities always share open positions. So if you're also looking, try to join communities so that you can get these jobs. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is where I applied. So I remember when I was applying, one of the main places that I used was LinkedIn. And why I would always tell people, do not underestimate the power of LinkedIn. Always make sure that your LinkedIn has all the experiences you've had and the things you did for those particular companies. If you have any skill, add it. If you have any project you've done, add it. If you even can get your colleagues to, write recommendations for you, that would be very good. LinkedIn, they always, have up-to-date open positions. And why I also would not underestimate the power of LinkedIn is that most of my friends that have also gotten jobs or changed jobs is through LinkedIn. And I'm not even talking about applying on LinkedIn. I'm talking about recruiters reaching out to you. So most recruiters go through LinkedIn, filter out, let's say for example, you're a software engineer, they'll filter out software engineers, and then they can open your LinkedIn, see what you've done. If you're a match for what they're looking for, they will DM you. So if you don't have LinkedIn, try and open a LinkedIn account and try and make sure that your profile, everything is up to date with your picture, your location. It helps. So once they reach out to you via DM, they would want to help you get a job, because they are also going to get commissions if you get a job, especially if the person is a recruiter. And then I can remember also one of the jobs that I applied to, it was also through DM that I had, like, the person reached out to me in the DMs and we had an interview. So make sure that your LinkedIn is up to date. So apart from LinkedIn, some other places that I also use is Glassdoor, Indeed.com. I remember back then I used Stack Overflow, and Stack Overflow then had this jobs section, but I think is no longer available. So Stack Overflow, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, Indeed.com. And then another thing also is also very important that you get to know a bit more about the company, and that's one thing I love about Glassdoor. So Glassdoor, let's say for example you've gotten response that they want to interview you, try to go on Glassdoor and search for the company. Most times you will see the employees writing about the company, how good the company is, the pay and everything. So that is also another tip and advice that I would give when it comes to negotiation, salary and all of that. It's also very good for you to know what you're worth. So I know there are some websites, even Glassdoor, I think there are some websites that show you, what the market is currently paying for a particular level. So it's good that you get to know the level you're on and then try to know how much, your mates are earning, because sometimes we also underestimate ourselves and then you get lesser pay. And when you now join the company, you realize that the same person that you guys are doing the same thing is earning way higher than you. And you won't blame the company because that was what you negotiated. So also try to learn to negotiate your salary. Once you've gotten the job, don't be scared to say, oh, if I tell them I want higher money, they will retract. No, a good company will not do that, because if they can't pay you, they will tell you, oh, this is what we can offer. But if they can pay you and you say, oh, I want this higher amount of money, and you give them reasons why they should pay you higher, trust me, if it's a good company, it will definitely increase. I remember the company I work for, when I finally got the job and a salary was placed on the table, I knew that for that particular role and the particular level that I could be earning higher. So I asked for a particular amount. They told me, okay, they will get back to me. And when they got back to me, they told me, okay, they can't exactly match how much I'm asking, but they can match something closer to it, which was higher than what they originally offered. So do not be scared to renegotiate your salary or whatever it is. Please don't give up. I know that sometimes it can be very overwhelming, it can look very gloomy and as if nothing is happening. I remember when I started applying initially back when I was in Nigeria, for the first 3-4 months, I didn't even get as much as "we are sorry, we can't take you." They didn't respond, and I can bet that my CV was extremely crappy that period as well. So after 3-4 months that I didn't get anything, I had to go back on Canva. I tweaked my CV, improved it, expanded on the things that I was able to do. And after I think on the 4th month, when I revamped my CV, I started getting at least rejection mail. I'm like, okay, now they're seeing the CV. You get? So it was probably after 5 months or the 6th month that I then started getting interviews and all of that. So please do not give up. If you're someone who is looking, I want to let you know that it's definitely possible for you to get a foreign job that would even relocate you. So yeah, this is it for the video. Let me know if you have any other video requests. Like I said, I always read your comments. If you want to know how I was able to move and how this stay has been in Germany as well, leave it in the comment section and I would get around to do the video for you guys. Thank you so much, and if you found this video very useful, do well to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much, and my name is Dimma Otitu, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.